Speaking of crazy stage shows, though, this one right here. So, and if folks don't know, so I think all of us, because I know I got sent this link by. I love how this works. I do love these little circles. I got like 6 or 7, maybe up to maybe even as many as 10 people sending me this clip over the last few days. And on Twitter, in the DMs, people like, you see this? You know, you're gonna love this. And it's Michael Render, not Killer Mike, and that will be made clear in a moment. Michael Render sitting down with Anthony Resler, the CEO of Aries Management, and I believe co-owner of the Milwaukee Brewers and a majority owner of the Atlanta Hawks. And they're being interviewed by the man on screen here, Alan Murray, who is the CEO of Fortune magazine.
And he wrote the book. He wrote the book Tomorrow's Capitalism, where he thinks you can have a more peaceful capitalism.
Yeah. And Emma, you may want to. You may want to. You may want to. You may want to, because this is yeah, we go
hideous.
Here we go. Hang on, everybody.
And thank you, Tony and Killer Mike. I got to tell you,
just Michael.
Just Mike. But Killer Mike sort of.
When they call me Killer Mike, they have to give me like $250,000 at the end of the night.
Okay, I'm not doing that.
Okay,
that's only for the stage.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
You guys aren't paying him his stage.
Yeah, my mom never liked that name.
I'm sorry about that.
The whole, I don't know, man. The whole thing
showing too
here.
much teeth. Showing too much teeth. You can't be sitting between two white men showing all them damn teeth.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You ain't see that pat on the back though.
Yeah, and they man, listen.
Hello, he getting pat right now.
I want him to show the bottom of his shoes. See if them little caps on there, them little tapping caps. That's too much.
Hey.
Oh man,
you supposed to smirk and sneer around white folks, especially two rich white men. That's way too many teeth.
Not if you about to get a half a bill.
Breaking all the black codes.
I don't know. I felt like my thing is you're not supposed to be invited in the first place. They're not supposed to want you around. But anyway, but you said it, Diallo. That was exactly what I was thinking. Too much teeth. He's too happy.
He's not Killer no more. He's Cuddly Mike.
But we definitely can't afford the Killer Mike fee. So he's just Mike or Cuddly.
Just call him Cuddly Mike. Look how safe and warm. I feel warmer just looking at him.
Hey, man.
Oh man.
I have to tell you, I do a lot of interviews. But this is not my usual thing. And one of the things I have to start with you, Mike, because I spent some time reading some of your lyrics. Mm-hmm. You don't really strike me as a pro-capitalism kind of guy. I mean, here here's one. The American Dream. American Dream had a price tag, and only one man in a million can afford to pay. That's Tony, by the way. So what are you and Tony doing together? Explain to me your method of operation here.
I mean, I think first of all, I live in Robert Smith is someone I talked to, and Mike Roberts, who are both black guys who happen to have made a lot of money.
Which line I'm gonna tell first?
Made $1 billion in their lifetime. So I kind of shut up and listen when they impart me with any wisdom. But Mike Roberts says to me one day, he says, it was amazing. Just 2 people confirmed to me. They said, you're going to be a billionaire. One was Bernie Sanders. He said, you're going to be a billionaire, and I'm going to tax the hell out of you too. And the other, I guess that's why my guy didn't get elected. And the other person, nobody in this room is like Sanders, apparently. The other one was Mike Roberts. And he said, if you were born in a socialist society, you'd have been a hell of a socialist and a leader. If you'd been born in a communist society, you'd have been a hell of a communist and a leader. Michael, you happen to have been born in a capitalistic society, and you understand that either you're going to be a participant in it or a victim of it. Huh. And it didn't mean that he was against capitalism. He understood that when Kwame Ture,
I think we need to build around
you guys may know him as Stokely Carmichael, needed to.
Hold on. I wanted to, like I said, I don't even want to play more than another minute of this, but I wanted to just let that breathe. But yeah, we could do that because he doubles down here and add, oh my God, that's just so, yeah. But go ahead, make, you wanted to say something about that point?
No,
Geechee, you said you wanted to
one of the things. Yeah. No, I'm saying that's one of the things of like the continuous I don't know, craziness of either being a participant or a victim, when again most of these people are not gonna be able to participate at any type of level. Like you basically are mainly surviving. But I guess that's
you
what
participate as a
that's the problem.
victim. That's the point. Our participation
Yeah.
for the most part is as victims. That's what this is. That's what capitalism does. So he's. I mean, it's Anyway,
But
my bad, Diallo. Go ahead.
why that dude's like, man, like he's like, you talk all that shit in the studio, but you don't rep it in the streets. That's basically what that dude said to him.
Yeah.
He's like, you popping shit behind in the studio, you know, you a studio gangster, you a studio conscious or studio work.
Right.
And Mike
Mike
didn't
for real.
put. I mean, he's like, I'm gonna read your lyrics. I've never been so bold.
And the same thing.
Lyrics back at him.
And then he told him, but to me, that's the point. That's part of the problem in terms of the audiences that Mike ends up targeting, that they assume a certain level of radicalism and progressivism or thought in his approach. People used to, again, my students are the ones who used to send me Run Your Jewels and all this other stuff in response to what we would talk about in class. And they would say, well, have you heard this? If you say that there's, it's hard for conscious rap to bubble to the top, what about this? And it was the same kind of thing. There are these allusions to something that sounds radical, but it's not really. And then he can come back here and do this.
They call Run Your Jewels. That's a conscious group. I mean,
that's how I was introduced to them. That's because it was, again, through students telling me. That's literally how it began for me. I had never heard of them. I didn't know, and I don't think I had put together what I had previously heard, when Killer Mike had popped up with Outkast or somebody early on, I didn't put it all together. So when that I had actually heard of him before, but when they sent me Run the Jewels, and remember there was that one video in particular where they just show, what was it? Somebody chasing a brother being chased in black and white, and there's a fight, apparently, something like that. And it was, I can't remember, but it was something like, and students were like, oh, Dr. Ball, this is, you gotta, whatever, you consider this. And I would be like, I mean, but anyway.
Geechee, I got two songs for you from Run the Jewels separately. If you look at LP, who's the white boy in Run the Jewels, look up Patriotism, the song Patriotism. And you look up, have you heard Cuddly Mike's song, Reagan?
No.
Oh, y'all, you listen to Reagan and Patriotism, and you kind of see how they got their conscious rapper credentials,
Okay.
Well, I need to see that list anyway. Like, how do you get put in that category of conscious rapper? Like, what's the criterion? What you have to say?
Well, from what I was saying to my students was, I think basically anybody that's not aggressively, overtly saying the worst, like, gangster rap or drill rap or whatever is anybody not overtly being horrifically negative is somehow positive. Or anything that sound like the lyric he read back to him here. There's some sort of only one person can afford the American dream. Oh, Mike got him. Oh, Dr. Ball, nobody your generation came that hard.
He does do conscious raps. I mean, it's often not really overtly ideological in terms of, you can't listen to his songs and be like, well, this is a Pan-African perspective, or this is a Marxist or materialist analysis, or this is Pan-African. But it highlights, his music does highlight or point out injustices or in the system, abuses.
But that's what I'm saying though, like conscious of what? Because if at today, Earn Your Leisure in the groups, they're conscious because they got financial literacy. So like, at what point do we kind of conscious of what?
Well, here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. If you go to these shows, like last time I went to a Dead Prez show or a Public Enemy show, 90% of the people in the audience are white. And I'm old enough that when you used to go to a concert, it was 100% black people. Like the first rap concerts I went, the only white people there were like security and the fire marshal trying to shut it down. And now, so you have to think about, for the average white kid, what would seem radical or conscious from the average middle class, upper middle class white kid, who are the primary consumers and the primary targets for rap promotion. So that's a lot of times when we get things schooled, and that angst and dissatisfaction with the system, that doomer or nihilism or pseudo nihilism that's kind of the perspective you have to look at it for, because I think most rappers, when they go in the studio, they're looking for that sweet spot in hip hop. Like when KRS-One said, you go platinum doesn't make you the authority. It means you sold out to the white majority. These black bands.
Before we get to Killer Mike disrespecting Kwame Ture, how offensive do you think that is? One, but two, do you think he further shits on black struggle by allowing them, and actually I think he even sided with them, that capitalists give us gifts. The capitalist system give us stuff as opposed to African people struggling for all of the things that we got in the first place. Like how offensive do you think that is? It sounds like some Bill Clinton shit at John Lewis' funeral, but do you see that as hella disrespectful?
You talking about what he just said there?
We haven't got to that part yet. We
didn't get to the part.
He's foreshadowing, being dramatic, being a drama king, being foreshadowing. Stop being so dramatic.
Should we tell
Rest
the
in peace
crew?
to K Slay.
Trigger warning. He about to say some hard shit.
Yeah, we do need to. It is a trigger warning, and like straight up, because
he's about to get jiggy with it.
I actually lost a few minutes watching this the first time. I wasn't ready. So yeah, take a moment, everybody, take a breath. And if you need to, Emma, others.
I mean, you put us between two wealthy white men. Ain't no telling. That's why you just don't let yourself.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't imagine
position.
how would that invitation even occur? And then if it did, how would I accept it? Like what? I'd be like, who said this is the setup?
Well, hey, I don't know. People accuse me of being an agent. I don't know where to send the agent invoices.
Well, usually I just ask
a Willy Wonka ticket.
Accuser. No, ask the accuser. That's who's probably saying it. Ask the accuser.
I do.
Where I send my
don't
invoice.
I don't know where the agent invoices go, because everybody
They'll tell
else
you
getting money. But I think these type of invitations are like Willy Wonka tickets. They slide under your door at night. Like, Cuddly Mike, come on down. You're the next Negro we gonna use.
Look at this. He just happens, this little freeze frame. He just looks like he's in the sunken place right here. Just this look right here. Anyway, let's just.
It just looked like he ate a capitalist cake. Yeah. Just ate a capitalist cake. So
if he was born into a communist country,
yeah.
It's not his fault he wasn't born in a communist country.
It's not his fault.
Wherever he appears, Bernie said, whatever system you appear in, you're gonna be at the top. I mean, braggadocious.
Hey, and all real revolutionaries know you don't change the world you're born into. You just adapt and get in it. You know what I mean? You just that's prosper. Revolution. If you were born prosper.
Right. If you were born during chattel slavery, you'd have been a house Negro.
And the best one, like the least threatening one, not even to disrespect the house slaves. Like,
you'd have had the
like
first American masses old tuxedos.
That's the American way, man. American way.
If you were born in the Nazi regime, you would have been a Gestapo, the head of the Gestapo.
The head of the Juderon, selected your fellow Jews to go to the death camp. You go down there, and I picked you.
Right. If you were born during colonization, you would have been Idi Amin.
Hell yeah, he'd have been at the top. Y'all front on our boy.
No matter. And whatever system he's born into, that's what he ain't gonna change it. He's just gonna float to the top like cream and butter. And that's not a comment on his weight. That is a metaphor for his.
Listen, I hear you trying to ad lib on my capitalism cakes. The brother eating capitalism cake so he can sit on the revolution. Just play
Okay.
the clip.
Damn. All right, good one.
A hell of a socialist and a leader. If you'd been born in a communist society, you'd have been a hell of a communist and a leader. Michael, you happen to have been born in a capitalistic society, and you understand that either you're going to be a participant in it or a victim of it.
Huh.
And it didn't mean that he was against capitalism. He understood that when Kwame Ture, many of you guys may know him as Stokely Carmichael, needed to be buried and needed to return to Africa, it took a black man who's a capitalist to help send him there. So I understand the principles.
All right. All right, hold on. So I'm happy to come back to this. As much as that for me was it. I did watch the whole thing, and it descends farther into madness. But I did want to just stop there for a quick second because the good news is it had me go back to at least some of the work here. All right. So and I'm sure there's more we could pull out from here, but let's just because like preeminent scholars praised by the highest of other scholars like Robin Kelly and Gerald Horne as the leading Black Power studies thought leaders. Hold on. like they don't even have to refer to this book because when you are
the culture's top thought leader,
you can write a book about Stokely Carmichael and not even refer to his own autobiography. What is his own thoughts? What does Michael Thelwell know? You know what I mean? What would they have to say? So I just went back and looked, and I just went, because there's a chapter, one of the concluding chapters is Cancer Brings Out the Best in People, is the title of the chapter. And the point of the chapter is very clearly made that Kwame Ture was not depending on Black capitalists. And as he said in many speeches, still easily found online or elsewhere, probably on imixwhatilike.org. He said all the time about how when you give your life to the people, you can expect to be taken care of. You don't need money. So just a couple of excerpts here that I wanted to just quickly read from on page 732 of the book that preeminent scholars don't even acknowledge exists. He says, for instance, he's talking about how he's already been diagnosed with his cancer. He's in New York. And he says, quote, "I would be staying on Covenant Avenue in one of those large, lovely, high-ceilinged old Harlem apartments. It belonged to Mama Jerry, Dr. Geraldine Price, a retired City College professor, Pan-Africanist, and community activist who allowed me the apartment during those cold months when she retreated to Florida. A militant spirit, Dr. Price had, during the Depression and over her father's objections, joined the Communist Party at 16. And talks about later in the paragraph how she was in attendance at events with Paul Robeson and Charlie Parker and Ben Davis, the communist leader. So just one quick example, not I got help from Black banker so-and-so, and go ahead, Diallo, I'll stop there. Go ahead. But I just there's more, but one example of where he got. Go ahead.
But this is the real shit, because when a capitalist gives us charity, he's returning to us a fraction of what he's stolen from us.
Investments.
So I don't give a damn if it's a plane ticket or LeBron James opening a school. They're just returning to the people a fraction of what they exploited and parasitically stolen from the people. So even if, let's say Cuddly Mike sent me a plane ticket, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna get on the plane. I'm gonna do it because the wealth that they have, that the capitalist system has, that the U.S. system has, is stolen wealth. So I don't care if it's a drug dealer handing out turkeys at Thanksgiving, which I've seen, which I've participated. I've probably partook of some of that dope dealer turkey myself. But that doesn't in any way means that we have any fealty to the capitalist or to the system that allowed them to elevate to a point where they're able to bestow upon the unwashed masses, handpicked periodic blessings.
But let's also be clear, because there's many times on that clip that they talked about the concept of evading taxes or it's not a charity, it's an investment. So I don't even take that shit. Like they're doing it for one of them two reasons, not no benevolence or kindness or none of that shit.
Right. And investment is parasitic as well. Investment in capitalism literally means you put in as little as possible and extract as much as possible. So when you talk about investing in the community or investing in your people, you're literally saying, I want to exploit my people. I want to put in minimum and get out maximum. But because that is what investing is. From everything I've ever learned about investing, it means you put in as little as possible to get as much return. If you break even as an investor, you're considered a failed investor.
But you know, that's not only Killer Mike's, but majority of the black business class, entrepreneur class, they really believe that they're gonna assist poor people or black people by providing them products or services. So selling them some shit is gonna get them to the spot, right? So
both of you, I think, are perfectly correct. My admitted initial focus is on the abuse of not only Touré personally, but what his image is meant to mean in the sort of public sphere of Black political consciousness, and the rebranding that people like Mike do when they do stuff like this. In my head, I am connecting these dots between what Mike is saying, what the Guardian pointed out last year when they acknowledged, the British attempt during Touré's life to destroy his efforts to bring socialism and Pan-Africanism into the Pan-African diaspora, to the African diaspora in the UK, and to Peniel Joseph's erasure of this very book in a book that's supposed to be about him, because you then leave out stuff like when they say here on page 742, and this is Michael Thelwell's sort of what is the word I'm looking for? Interjection, where he steps in and adds some narration, because they're talking about the point where Touré is really having to confront the fact that he needs treatment. And it says here, quote, one crucial dramatic confrontation during this first hospitalization is not specifically mentioned in Kwame's account. It involved a knockdown drag out between the patient, meaning Touré himself, and a united front of his closest associates led by his mother. In their account, the brother's initial response to the diagnosis was an entirely predictable, complex mixture of pride, principle, and some fundamental concerns, both personal and political. Pride would not permit him to see himself becoming the object of pity or personal charity. As a matter of political principle, he refused, even though still an American citizen, to become a ward of what he considered the grudging and unfeeling medical welfare system, the capitalism of which he was so vigorous a critic. His immediate strong instinct was therefore to quietly return to his house in Conakry to continue his work as long as his strength lasted. Then when his time came, to face death with dignity. That was the decision he announced to his closest friends. His intention was to return immediately to Africa, end quote. He then goes on, that is Thelwell, to explain that they had to argue with Touré to make him accept the support from the community to get him the treatment he would get. And then they talk about a number of other Black doctors who would offer up treatment to him and support for him for free. So it wasn't Black capitalists per se stepping in to save Touré. It was a community of, in this case, relatively well-positioned professionals who, out of Pan-African, communist, pan-socialist solidarity, offered their services to support the brother at the end of his life after he dedicated his whole life to the people and got almost nothing for it. In fact, I think I'd have to argue was a net loss that he took for the struggle for the people. So this idea that it's at all capitalism that is helpful or beneficial, when the man is himself saying, I'd rather die in Africa without dealing with any of this, and having to have any of it forced on him, that is the assistance, is, again, it's a total distortion of not only Touré himself, but of the capitalist society that he was struggling to destroy. And as, again, Diallo, I think you're right in pointing out this idea that anything that they would have, given back was ultimately meant to be, was ultimately the initial theft, or, from the people in the first place. So yeah, go ahead. Cause there's one other thing I wanted to share, but go ahead. Yeah,
I want to throw this question on here, and then Diallo, I would love for you to respond to this. Namely, we had a capitalist panel or Black capitalism panel a while ago, and you've made this really solid point about entrepreneurship. So again, this idea of we talking shit about all people who sell their labor's talents or whatever the case may be. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur, and why should this idea of selling services, selling products to poor people is not necessarily helping them? But go ahead and respond to that.
First of all, entrepreneurialism is not synonymous with capitalism. Capitalism has contaminated certain things that have existed long before capitalism was a concept, long before capitalism came about. People were engaged in commerce, trade, business, developing services and products and bringing them to market without capitalism existing. Capitalism is a very specific mentality. It's a very specific ideology. It's a very specific group of economic policies. So I don't have a problem if you live in the United States and you're trying to navigate this system and you choose to go about it by starting a business. I have no issue with that. I have an issue when you go to the public and sell those behaviors as a solution for the problems that afflict us collectively, or sell yourself as an authority based on your capacity to engage in business or trade. So if you are an entrepreneur, there are different types of entrepreneurs. I mean, I've ran business. I've never saw myself as a capitalist. I've never behaved as a capitalist, and I've never in my life had capitalist ambitions. But I have had interest in businesses of earning. I've ran vegan restaurants. I've had vegan catering service, but I did not conduct myself as a capitalist. I did not have capitalist goals and ambitions. So I think that just like Western culture has contaminated or captured certain concepts and things and enveloped it and say, most Black people that are in business in spite of capitalism, not because of capitalism. And most people who call themselves capitalists or identify as capitalists are not engaged in capitalism, have never benefited from capitalism. And most of the opportunities presented to them that allows them to run business and other things are a byproduct of socialistic policies that really violate the tenets and the practices of capitalism.
BPM is an LLC. I mean,
oh shit!
It's so
I didn't know. Where's the log off button?
Yeah, I didn't know. But let me share. I'll show you. But to the point that you're making, it's obviously not run in that. But check this out. This is from Stokely Speaks, from Black Power to Pan-Africanism. One of the speech. I think this is the one he gave at Morgan State. In fact, but this speaks to what Diallo's saying, and I think is part would be my own response. So he says, let me explain it. Many people in this country are running around talking about Black capitalism and Black capitalists. Those people who are doing that do not understand capitalism. Karl Marx defines capitalist. He says that a capitalist is someone who owns and controls the means of production. He is absolutely correct. There is no other definition for a capitalist. There are people who work for capitalists called the bourgeoisie. These are people who serve the interests of capitalism. Lenin calls them the lackeys of capitalism. Mao Zedong calls them the running dogs of capitalism. There are potential capitalists, there are aspiring capitalists, but only the capitalist is someone who actually owns and controls the means of production. If you understand this definition according to Marx, then you will know that there is no such thing as a Black capitalist anywhere in the world today. So, he goes on and to make the point here that according to Marx, this group called capitalists Marx says that capitalists are death. There is no hope for the capitalists. According to Marx, they must be killed. He says their underlying motive is profit. They will do anything for profit. So you can never stop them or get any concessions from them. They must be killed. So it's hard, you know, again, you don't have to agree with the then Stokely or the later Kwame Ture in his analysis of capitalism and Black capitalism, but to parade his name and promote, again, as Diallo, I think you were saying, that not only to wrap yourself in his name, but then parade the antithesis of his argument as the solution and the revolution is really inexcusable. And to the extent that Mike knows better, and I never, you know, it's always hard for me to assess how much he knows what he's doing consciously. It's shameful, but either way, it's ignorant and incorrect.
But that I think that's the reason why we have to, I guess, grapple with the concept of conscious rapper, because that's what he's doing by putting Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael name in front of white people, in front of our people. We're gonna like, oh, he's conscious, and everything else he do is conscious. So just a name drop just throws you into the conscious category.
And I think I call them high consumption capacity. That's what HCCs, they have high consumption capacity. And people think being able to consume or having, you know, a large amount of fiat qualifies you as a capitalist. And I think it's been, and I think that the capitalists have cultivated this myth because it allows them to, number one, look like there's a larger number of capitalists than there actually are, which allows them to have a buffer. So even when the people start to lash out, they you know, want to go out and lash out against the inequality, and they go and throwing bricks at some brother in the hood's BMW, thinking, oh, he's the capitalist, you know, when it's just these certain people within the system, especially Black people, have a really high consumption capacity, and they think, well, I'm a capitalist because I got these houses, I got this stuff. When, as you said, they have no control over the means of production. And we've even seen various capitalist Black people who amass a lot of fiat and then try to secure the means of production through non-military means, and they are thwarted every step of the way. You know, so like when Cosby tried to buy NBC.
So I appreciate that the white boy, the older white boy, was pretty much grilling. He was grilling them the whole time, because even when he asked him about the bank, this is actually my first time hearing him get corrected, being like, oh, it's actually not a bank, it's a banking app. But there's actually a bank, a white bank with whiteboard, white money, who actually behind them. So
the other day I actually did a whole video about this. I'll pull up the link you just sent, Geechee, and I'll put the link to that in the show description for this. That is the video that I did, where I actually went into this whole thing here about the Coastal Bank backing of Greenwood Bank. And there was a slight correction, and big shout out to Jordan for catching this. And I put it as a comment. Well, I'll show that in a second. Let me just finish showing this here. But this is the bank. And actually, I don't even think this is the same. I don't even think this is the same. This isn't the same Coastal Bank. This is another group. I'll show you the one that because and you are right that, like, in his recent, that is Mike's recent visit with Earn Your Leisure, he makes all kinds of mistakes, and he's asked, I never remember these brothers' names, which one is which, but this guy over here asks him about it being a bank. And you see Mike, you know, well, it's you know, yes, but it's not really a bank, you know. But just quickly, I made an error because I said I had mistakenly read that the $5 million had gone to Martin Luther King III and Andy Young for the Greenwood Bank promotion, but that had been for a previous project that they had been working with one of the founders of the Greenwood Bank. But I remain correct in that both Andy Young and Mike are described in the referenced article as receiving equity as brand ambassadors for Greenwood. So in other words, when you see Mike talking about Greenwood Bank, he's not just promoting falsely Greenwood as a bank or even as a banking app, or falsely promoting it as something that is as a solution to Black inequality. He's doing it as a paid spokesperson, co-founder, and an equity partner in the project. So he benefits financially. And I thought I had the link here, but guess I didn't put, but anyway, I'll show you the coastal. It's Coastal Carolina Bank is the group. Or maybe it is the same.
Yeah, it's Coastal Community. Yeah, that's the corporation.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I had just maybe found a different page because I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
looking at a different page. That's all. My bad. So yeah, because this is the leadership that I was talking about. You're right. Coastal Community Bank. This is the bank that backs the Greenwood project.
Wait, that's Killer Mike. Oh no, that's not Killer Mike. Never mind.
Nope.
Thought that was Killer Mike.
Nope. There's no Mike's Killer or Cuddly in that group. And the point of the article that I was referencing in that video is that it's a Bloomberg article actually breaking down what is in fact the Greenwood app. And it's showing it as it's the black version of Robinhood, which was for young white hip investors who want to get into the game. So they have this cool little gateway app to get into. There was another one the article references for like environmentally friendly folks. Like if you want to environmentally friendly invest, you come through this app.
It's
and then
too
the
much.
Greenwood app is the black version. If you're black
Well-
or Latinx and want to get into the market, you go
Well,
through
money
them.
is money. Hey, listen. Soon as I finish paying off my Rush card, I'm going.
And that's what it was compared to, Diallo. That's exactly what it was
As soon as I
compared
finish
to.
paying off my Rush card, I'm gonna download that Greenwood app, and I'm gonna be buying people tickets to fly their ancestors back to Africa. You know, that's what Black power is. That's real Black empowerment.
What Mike was really doing in this video is literally
They want to have black businesses and not just go to the white businesses, and they should have.
that's exactly what Nixon. I mean, he's literally carrying Nixon's message into the 21st century by redefining. And again, Nixon was targeting specifically even Kwame Ture. Don't define black power like he does. Define it this way. And then here's Mike literally doing that exact thing in 2023, redefining Kwame Ture as Richard Nixon's version of black power as he sits between these two white billionaires trying to convince them he should become one of them.
So their banking app competitors are like Cash App and companies like that. So right? Oh no.
More or less, yeah. Cash App wasn't named in that particular article, but so I don't know if there's a particular difference there. But it's basically that, yeah, that they are the black doorway that they want black investors to walk through to basically gamble into the market. Then it's all back. So in other words, they get a transaction fee every time you engage the app and the bank, or move money here or put money there or whatever. But they're not an actual bank in the sense that they're not taking deposits and then investing it and then offering loans and this and that. All of that is done by the white bank that backs the app itself. So if you want a loan, you ultimately would have to get approved, and the money would have to come from that white bank.
Yeah.
Well, they have this thing called greenwashing when companies would do superficial shit that make it look ecological, and that kind of got exposed and people started shooting it down. And now I call this era of capitalism chocolate coating, capitalism. And then remember, we had the brief girl boss era, the girl boss, and now this is the chocolate coating on capitalism, just having some blackness on the surface, and behind the scenes it's business as usual. So this is chocolate coated capitalism.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Killer Mike talks about his wife's friend is Pinky from Slutty Vegan, and she actually talked about viral banking. Viral, I think that's what it's called, but it's very similar to this. I think that's one of their competitors. So you see all these front running black celebrity people with white banks right behind them.
Chocolate coating.
Chocolate coating.
I mean, that's
On
why
white,
when we first started putting the early version of this show together, one of the first things we were doing is looking at that Invest Fest stuff from Earn Your Leisure and all of that. And it's chock full of white this, white that. They platform, all of the Grant Cardone platforming and all that kind of stuff. These are the black faces of white conservative politics, of white capital, of white banking, all of whom know that there's no pathway to equity or success for the Black collective in this way. It's a handful of people are going to get some big checks, and the existing white established banking world will benefit almost exclusively.
Michael Render.
It's even worse than that, because the social capital is what worries me so much, because it gives many of these parasitic companies some validation. Like, these are good institutions, these are good people, this is a good system that can be like, if you're good, you know, like that bootstrap shit. Cuddly Mike was talking about with oh yeah, you know, I'm just gonna, because of my personal expertise, because of my personal excellence, because of my individual intelligence, I'm able to do all this shit, as opposed to the systems and institutions and the framework and the policies that allow you to do it. Oh no, because wherever you drop me, you know, that's the same shit. Remember they said about Elon Musk and these other people, if you just give them $5 and drop them in the middle of sub-Saharan Africa, if you give them $5 and just put them on a Native American reservation, within a month, within a year, they're going to be right back where they started, because it's their own individual personal brilliance that got them there.
It's Jay-Z. I sell ice to
one
the winter, I sell fire at hell. I am a hustler, baby. I sell water to a whale.
And remember, he said he's still spending his crack money. He ain't even touched his rap money.
Put me
He made so much money selling crack. He's still spending crack money.
He ain't got it like that. Trust me. But listen, my one-liner was Killer Mike or Michael Render making the world safer and cool for capital accumulation. Killer Mike, Michael Render. Give it up for Killer Mike. We ain't got no hand claps for Killer Mike.
Cuddly Mike.
Oh, big shout out to Sounds of Sane Elsewhere. Jill Scott played in Boston this Wednesday. She had a video full of civil rights figures playing in the background while they performed the song Brother. MLK, Huey P. Then they included 19 keys. Oh my God. Are you serious?
Shit. Somebody get the clip. Get the link. Send the link.
Man, send a link. Jill Scott. They got Jill.
Jilly from Philly. Oh, no, not no more.
I'm with you, sugar. Damn it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Jilly, what you want? I don't put nothing past black folks, man. I don't put nothing past y'all. Like I said, I went to a Association of Black Psychologists meeting, and they open up their meetings with pouring libations. And somebody poured libations to Jesus Christ. So they were like, call out the ancestors and we'll pour libations, Ashe, you know. And they were literally like, Marcus Garvey, Ashe, Jesus Christ, Ashe. I kind of scooted back from the table. I mean, I don't put nothing past everything is everything.
Yeah, man. I told you, when I heard them pour libations to Colin Powell, I was done. No more Kwanzaa events for me. I'm done.
Oh, please. I got it better. They pour libations to Michael Jackson.
Man, you better leave Mike alone, man.
Hey, get off my man.
Wait, hold
Mike,
on.
Man. Mike, saving the world, heal the world. Chill out.
So I was looking at, wait a minute. So, because let's see. I was looking again because Mike is always talking about his Andy Young connections.
Every interview, one of the greatest leaders that we had, he keeps saying Andy Young.
Andrew Young is quoted in this autobiography. Let's see, he cracked up. Well, Stokely, it's simple. Maybe I just don't talk about it. Besides, since when do you expect our media to be rational? Andrew Young, Black Power itself was something Martin disagreed with tactically. In fact, we said all the time was Jews have power, but if you ever accuse them of power, they deny it. Catholics have power, but they always deny it. In a pluralistic society, to have real power, you have to deny it. And if you go around claiming power, the whole society turns on you and crushes you. It was not Black Power that he was against. It was the slogan Black Power, because he said, if you really have power, you don't need a slogan. I don't know.
You know, white folks don't have slogans proud to be an American.
Yeah, I was going to
Manifest
say,
destiny. You know, white folks
exactly.
in power. You know, the Zionists had no slogans. You know, Theodore
Never
Herzl
forget.
didn't
Never
campaign.
forget.
You know, nationalism.
What was it? The land
Never
of no
again.
people? Oh no, just you know, so this happens all the time. Like, so people, just real quick, people try to remember, like, when your first time watching this show or this platform doesn't mean it's the first show or the first time the platform has existed. Like, you didn't bring us into existence by viewing. So
Jesus.
Go back. Yeah, I mean, you know, like, go check some of the links. Like,
Ain't nobody scared of Cuddly Mike.
I mean,
let it come through.
He's been invited. He's been reached out to. We've been in backs and forth. He only just recently told me not to text him anymore because I reached out to him again to invite him back. And he said, leave me alone. And I'm not going to be a pest. So you say that once, you're never going to hear from me again. But it's always an invitation. Like, that has never been the issue. And by the way, if we really go back to it, as far as my work is concerned, he started it by going on Instagram, holding up a copy of my book, talking about how he's reading it as he's reading Thomas Sowell. So and I only reached out to him to say, like, those are mutually exclusive works. So, like, you got to pick one. Like, you can't.